Welcome back to another episode of the Skits and Giggles podcast. For this one, we sat down with Colin and Antoine from Massart Biketrails, as well as with our former guest and fan favorite, Greg Jolliffe. Earlier in 2024, the boys were building the Dreamline for a Kriss Kyle edit in Glassy Bike Park, and that video got released later in the summer to much fanfare. The trail itself is part of the bike park now and open to the public for everyone to enjoy. There are also plenty of homemade shreddeds by all kinds of riders giving it a go on YouTube. In our chat, we get to hear some more insights into the build of the line, about working with Kriss and the many challenges of digging trail in the Scottish countryside. But the conversation turns into much more than that as we dive into the heart and the art of trail building, the inspiration and influences coming from the community, competing builders, multifaceted athletes like Kriss, different disciplines or other sports altogether, progression in the sport and what it means to actually put these very diverse dreams of what a trail should be into the dirt. For more information about this episode and the Skits and Giggles podcast, you can just follow the links in the description. To support the podcast, please share this episode with your riding buddies, or just leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite platform. That's it for now, Skigglers. Have fun with this episode.
Actually, I want to know, when's the last time you guys saw each other in person?
Last weekend.
Okay, you're riding together or what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right on. Whereabouts?
2 weeks ago, we went to Fish and we visit Greg. We went to Belvald. We went to Croix Montana. And last weekend, he came here in our region and we went to ride some nice enduro trails. And we've been riding Metavier Bike Park also with the chill trail from Vinity. And it was cool. We had a lot of fun.
Okay, so hitting all the hot spots in a week or two together.
That's why I'm drinking a cup of tea now and not a beer like you usually do. 'Cause we had some beers.
You're on a trail hangover.
Oh, yeah, we did. We were feeling a bit sick, but we always have to have a beer when we go riding together, of course.
All right. Today we come together to talk about the Dreamline for people that are not following the socials and the YouTubes too closely. The Dreamline was a project built with and built for Kriss Kyle. And the edit is really, really cool. I mean, it's I think a 3-minute video, really, really cool. There's also a YouTube video documenting the build process, which I've also just recently watched, also very worthwhile. And I thought we should sit down and talk about this project because there's a lot of cool stuff happening around it. People are excited. I'm excited about the build. It looks really, really cool and a lot of fun. Kriss Kyle's riding speaks for itself. So here we are. So maybe to get started, who had the idea of the Dreamline? Was it you guys that approached Kriss, or did it go the other way around?
I kind of instigated it. Just in 2023 there, I was in Scotland building a line at Glenlivet. We also did a small film about that build, which is on YouTube as well, which is really nice. If you like trail building, go check that film out. Anyway, after that project, I was in Scotland and I wrote to Kriss, "Hey man, love your stuff. I've been following him since I was a kid." And he responded to me saying on Instagram, he said, "Yeah, let's do something." And then at that time, I was actually back in Switzerland and I just got back. And then I flew back immediately to Scotland to meet up with Kriss. And we went and had some lunch together and spoke about trails. And yeah, it kind of went from there. It kind of fizzled out because that was in April 2023 when we had that first meeting together. But we knew we wanted to do something.
Okay. And how did you guys settle on Glassy Bike Park? Was that a current project that you knew about, or was that something Kriss was involved with?
So Glassy Bike Park came about. I actually spoke to the owner, or not the owner, the trail builder there, which is Ray Will. And Ray's a really famous, or almost becoming a famous guy around Scotland. He won the Trail Advocate of the Year award for Scotland. So he's up and coming, and Glassy Bike Park is that place. And we spoke on a separate occasion that we wanted to do something together. and that was separate from Kriss. And then Kriss went to Ray to ride his bike park, and they bumped into each other and said, "Oh man, I would love to do something." So slowly that kind of came together. I spoke to Kriss, "Oh, what do you think about Glassy?" And Ray was like, "Oh, we should do something." And then that just came together like almost as it was meant to be. So that was really cool how it came about.
And how did you guys know each other before? Have you worked together before? Maybe one for the Massarts? Have you just been following Greg's work ever since he was on our podcast, so to speak?
Yeah, we knew each other before. We met on some construction in the Alps, and we directly found that we were speaking the same language and had the same vision about trail building and more. And me personally, I was finishing a bachelor degree in agricultural engineering and soil sciences. And my brother and Gregor met on that construction. And we had this project in Madeira at the end of 2022 together. And that's where I met Gregor and also Renato Costa, who was having us in Madeira. It was his place. The goal was to build a Dreamline at his place. They were all working together on the same construction with also Tobias Meyer. And my brother just told me, "Hey, we're gonna have this project in Madeira, man. You need to come. It's necessary to have you there." So I've been to Madeira and I met all those guys, and we had an insane project there and a lot of fun.
What did you think of Madeira?
We didn't see a lot of Madeira, to be honest. We were just like digging, staying at the same spot. We only had like maybe one day of riding.
Oh, that's sad.
during
You
all the
definitely
time
need to go back.
Yeah, maybe we have the opportunity to go back, but the main goal was just like to build that line. That was the only reason we were there. We were not even like thinking about riding. We just wanted to go digging and build that line.
It actually sounds like you're like rock stars because you're like, "Oh yeah, I got a call. I got to fly out to Madeira. I got a project going on, and I got to like dig."
Sometimes it feels like that, like
Just
flying
the
out
fact
and meeting
Rockstar
these
are rich.
guys. Yeah, rock stars get paid. We do this from our hearts.
You just get dirty.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's why we say it's art, because it comes from our hearts. We don't get paid so well for these projects. We're doing them because these are our pleasure to make huge jumps into nature, and whenever you get these opportunities, we jump on it.
Yeah, and then you get some great people to capture it in the videos, showcase it really well. It's very rewarding. Actually, I was just listening to another podcast, and they're saying when your life revolves around bicycles, it's more about the love and the reward you get from that rather than the payout. So you guys must feel along those lines.
But it's also a great time for trail building that you guys get recognized in that way, and they invite you to these projects, right? So I mean, that's also saying something and speaks to your work that you have done over the last the last couple of years, and people see that and they want to work with you. I mean, that's I think a great sign for you personally, but also for trail building in general, that it has risen to such a level of craft or art, as Greg says it, that people recognize it and actually just don't want to have a generic builder and they want to have exactly this one. I think that's really cool.
We think so too.
Yeah, so it's kind of just made at that point. But obviously Kriss is a very, very high performing athlete. He's very, very good at what he does. So I just wonder, how was it working with him? And, where did the ideas come from? Was it more collaboration, or was it all his ideas and you just put them into the dirt, or how did that work?
I think we talk, share. The ideas came from everyone. Most of the time, we knew what we want, and we want the same thing. And we knew the line needed to suit the Krissy style, so this gave us a good base to work on.
Have you looked at all of his videos that he did before and were preparing for like the craziest stuff?
I don't think so. Yeah, we've been watching the video for sure, but I don't think like all the project he went through really was a base for us. We just wanted to make something new, something also that fits to our style, and something different that had maybe already made or something.
Another dynamic about that trail is it's open to the public. So anyone can go and ride it. So we had to understand Kriss's needs. It needed to be sustainable so that it was going to last in a bike park situation. And it was going to be progressive enough that people could get down it and it would push the majority of people's limits. But we were so surprised at the amount of people who rode it. There was kids there on e-bikes trying it and casing and coming up short, and then like slowly working their way down. And we were so stoked for these guys. Like we had no idea that that was the level. And we need to build lines at this level or higher. If you want people to ride at that level, we need to provide that.
Yeah, but I think the original ideas, it was like Chris. I feel like Chris was just like fully trusting us from the very beginning. Like seems like he never really doubts on our capabilities and skills to build the nice trail, and he was just stoked on what we were building. So he was just like encouraging us and say, "Hey guys, you need to keep going. It's so nice what you are doing." So we're just like keep going. And
Yeah,
I
we
think
we spoke the same language from the
yeah,
start,
exactly.
so that created the trust, I think, because we showed him that we understand his what he needs or what he wants. We spoke the same language.
You also said something interesting in one of the episodes of the build videos about your signature style of building a trail, that you want to have the trail look like you've placing it into the landscape, and like how you shape the grass, and how it kind of fits on top, and how then again speaking to the sustainability, how it develops over time. Can you speak a little bit about that? What you meant with that when you said that in the video?
We're all us and us together. We agree together that that is the way we want to go forwards. That the trail should be slightly raised above it, all aspects, because the trail will always go down over time and the grass will always go up. Yeah, so that was our idea, to give that signature. And from a sustainable point of view, it could be more sustainable by having the grass all the way to the high edges. But we wanted to create emotion and give certain aspects for the camera angles. So that's why some parts are pronounced standing taller over the grass, like the tall lips are just exposed, because that creates emotion in the viewer, and it gives that scale, that size of scale. If you put grass everywhere, it just looks not as big as it really is. It shows less impact. But like we had to balance that between the fact I said before that it's for public and it's in a bike park situation, so it needs to stand the test of time.
And the bike park, is that like currently in development, or is it kind of already in existence? Because it looks like it's kind of a little bit standalone, the trail as it is at the moment.
Yes, it is. The trail is up on a hill, like it's tucked away a little bit. And that was also because it was a nice location. And when I went there on the second time to visit the guys to check the location, we scoped a few locations and we decided that that's a really nice one for the view. But the majority of the trails, which were built during lockdown in Corona time, that's when Ray had time to go up there and start digging. They start from just below there. There's like an access road, and there's a lot of different enduro trails with jumps and side hits, and some parts machine built. And it's all Ray's just been learning and growing and building himself up on these trails, and they keep getting better and better, and people love it because they're quite a technical level and they cater for lots of different riding styles.
But did you know the spot before, or did you really just only see it from the two times you visited?
Just from Instagram.
Personally, we knew nothing about the place before. We just discovered it on the building. Like maybe Gregor showed us maybe some photos or pictures before, but otherwise we just discovered the place. And we knew we could trust Greg, and he said we can build a trail there. The trail is nice, so we were just like, okay, go for it.
But no idea about the dirt, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Because that would have been my next question is like, did you have a feeling for what you were getting yourself into when you said, yeah, we're going to do this project in Scotland?
Not really, but as I said, I trusted Greg 100%. So if he says we can do something there, then we can do something there. And I come and I join him because he trusts me also. He trusts ourselves. So we need to trust him also.
Yeah, those are the guys I asked to come with me. Let's go dig this, and they're in, and it's so hard to find guys who are like, sure, we're coming out here on a whim. I'm taking a big risk. We're all taking a huge risk, but we're going in together. And as soon as they show up on site, like I have a huge weight off my shoulders, and I know that if these boys are stoked, we can go. And we went in on this build. We just dug until we couldn't dig anymore, and it was insane.
Okay, yeah, but I think I want to throw another question at your Swiss brothers in digging tools here. What was the biggest surprise when you showed up in Scotland and had to dig that trail? What surprised you the most?
The wetness and how good the dirt was to work with this wetness.
Okay.
It was feeling like working in the middle of the ocean. All the elements were coming at the same time. Big wind, big rain, and then it was like snowing the next days. It was really like struggling a bit, but in the end, like that dirt was just like sucking all the water, and we could still be able to work and keep moving forward, even if it was a bit wet. But for sure, if it was drier, that would have been easier. But in the end, we could manage to find a way to keep going and move forward. It was not too sticky to the shovel and the buckets. We could still work when it was raining. So that was good. Otherwise, it would have been really, really hard to make something. But I mean, in the mountains here in Switzerland, the weather can be really tough. Also, the elements can change in a blink of an eye. And in Scotland, it was not necessarily more difficult than in Switzerland. It's a bit like the same conditions, but it was, yeah. In the end, it was a bit wetter, I guess.
So you could say it was dream dirt for the dream track.
Oh, totally. It was like a perfect mix between sand, clay, loams. There was rocks to give the structure to the buildings. Like a skeleton, the rocks can give like that structure to the walls, the landings, and everything. And then you have that perfect dirt to make like the perfect final layer. And it was like a really an insane dirt, to be honest. Always brand new after each rain. And we also learned
Yeah,
that there is no dirt in Scotland. It's just mud, because the dirt is always wet. So you just call it mud. Everyone is calling it mud. Never. No one is speaking about dirt there.
All right. That's
There's
funny.
no
yeah.
dirt, just magic. But I keep hearing this tagline of dream track. And, when I think about the word dream, and I hear you guys talk about being on the same wavelength, this kind of all fits together. And,
Yeah.
with dreams and, our complex minds, I want to know from each of you, is there like one feature that you kind of dreamt up or kind of had an idea of like, what would make this a dream track?
We are always talking about line and features, so we have plenty of idea. We just wait the right moment and the right place to make them. So there's no special feature or thing. We all influence each other. We have plenty of idea. We talk and do something.
And when, say, Colin says we're making quarter pipe there, like we all instantly have already had that dream, like a dirt quarter pipe, and it's going to look like that. And that dream that we've had previously all can mold into that location. So it needed to be a bit sloped. You needed to have open transitions at the side so you could carve or air or transfer or rig it in many different ways. So it's like we've preemptively dreamt those individual features, but it's actually on the ground that they come together, and we all can envision that on the spot.
Just before the quarter, Greg was digging a berm and it naturally turned into a cradle. So it was slowly looking like a skate park. Then I went in the digger, and this cradle gave me the idea to make a quarter. And while I was digging this quarter, we found out that with this quarter, we can go back to the cradle, air the cradle, then back again into the quarter, and then the speed was getting slower. So this gave us the idea to make a dirt skate park looking place with small features, and it all goes together. One features make the next one and the next one, and IDs are added while moving forward. There was that quarter, and then Greg went back into the digger after building the quarter, and he was just making some small volcanoes and stuff like this. When we were just like keep going like this in the end. IDs and then other IDs and then other IDs.
And it's like dreaming it on the spot.
There you go. But I mean, it's that combination, right? It's also from Kriss. So like it's the BMX, it's the skate park, it's the mountain bike, it's the jumps, it's the all these kind of features, and it kind of all. It's like a big melting pot. You threw all these ideas and dreams in, let's say, and then
Sure.
gave it a good stir, and looked what came out after that.
Yeah, Kriss rides Unit 23 with his BMX. He rides mountain bike as well. So then you can go further with the features and things like that than just a normal mountain bike trail. He can make something with different things and quarter volcanoes, go back to the cradle, back again, and things like this. And you're sure he's gonna find something to do with all of that. Yeah, you can be sure that he's gonna take the most out of what you built.
Yeah. Did you also have a moment with Kriss where he tricked a feature or did a jump, and you were like, "Oh, I didn't even think of that."
Yeah, sure. On many things. Like
just standard.
Yeah, we were just waiting for Kriss to do something. We had no expectation, nothing. We were just waiting for the things to come.
We knew something was in there, and we just had to provide the playground for him to do those things. And we knew that we needed to have it dynamic enough that you can ride it in many ways, and that's really how we want to go forward as well. And that started in Madeira. Like, we made this trail, which actually was the first Dreamline from us, and it was just waves and shapes, and there was so much progression built into this. We were like, we need to do this for Kriss and put in his own flair with steep edges and lips and quarter pipes and transfers, because that's what he's known for.
Do you think that's a kind of building style that can only be done with more than one person? Because what I'm kind of thinking about now is like, let's say you have the typical trail builder, and he's like, I want the line to look like this, and it's going to go across the hill, and it's going to have these jumps, and he can make it, and it totally flows perfectly fine, and everyone rides it exactly like that. But now you're talking about something like multi-direction, multi-purpose. You can hit it backwards. You can loop on it. It's up for the interpretation of the rider now.
It's a new dimension.
Yeah.
It's a multi-dimensional Dreamline.
You just sit back and watch Kriss interpret it. It's a whole other thing.
But also let anyone interpret it.
Exactly.
Like the person who's just there for the first time will just ride the rollers at the low points, follow where the water goes, and maybe make the gap, and that progression is built into the line, and you can go higher and higher as you progress. So it's always bringing people back, and in actual fact, we're not impacting that much more land than we would if it was just a straight line of jumps. But we're thinking with more dimensions and have a greater understanding of how our bikes work and how the body works and how those shapes need to fit in and how that can all fold together.
That's a really good point, especially when you follow like the current discussion, certainly here in Switzerland, of like, flow trails, everything looks the same. There's just all these companies that build all the same trails, and then you look at a trail like this one, and it's kind of like, yeah, it looks like it's basically just a trail down the hill, but it's like it has so many different aspects, so many different line options and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's something that people need to be I think also educated it more about it still, even after I don't know how many years of professional trail building companies being active in the space.
Sure.
Do you guys ride a lot of skate park? Because that's the kind of feeling I get now that you describe it with multi-dimensional. For example, I go to a skate park and I would start on the small features like Greg was saying, kind of flow the small things, and then you see a small quarter, so you try to air out, and then you're like, okay, well, what's comparable? What can I progress on? And maybe there's a bigger quarter or a wedge, something you've never done before. You gain enough confidence and you can do it that way. And it's sort of like with this trail, you can approach it in sort of like maybe a typical way in air quotes. And then you see someone ride it big and you think, oh, I can't go that big, but actually I see something on the side here. Let me try that. Is that kind of something that is influenced by skate park?
Yeah, maybe. I think we are talking more and more about inclusive lines. And now in Switzerland, when we talk about inclusive lines, we only talk about include the beginners and stuff like this. But you also need to include like a progression on the line, because like the maybe the 8 years old boy that is just gonna make a small table in 2 years after he's gonna make some really really big hits. So you need to include also that progression into the line and the trail. And for sure we've been riding so much different kind of bikes, and it includes also BMX freestyle. So I think some ideas are coming from BMX freestyle and skate park for sure.
Like we all actually grew up at the skate park. We developed our riding styles at the skate park. And Antoine, who was just talking there, he used to race BMX at a really high level, and they would go to the BMX track when they were young. So it's a BMX influence because that's kind of our roots a little bit.
All kind of bike. We ride
Sure.
road cycling as well. We were racing road cycling when we were young, doing some cyclocross races, cross country, BMX trail, dirt jump, BMX bowl, ramp transition, BMX racing, downhill, enduro, everything.
Yeah, but that shows in your work today, right? So that's what makes it great.
Yeah, I think so.
Because you can relate to what you're trying to build, right? So if it's someone that only rides big jumps, for example, right, that probably his trail is going to look like really big jumps most of the time. But all the small stuff, like all these little things that you guys think about when you look at the trail, maybe that comes from having these diverse impressions.
I guess, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess I have a few more questions on the build, some fun ones, I guess, as well. So I really want to know how you guys work together and who decides who gets to play with the big digger first.
First come, first served.
Early bird gets the worm.
Sure, man. I think I can answer this one because I kind of instigated the project, and like the brothers just said that they came out there and trusting me. So I hired a 25-ton digger with a rotating bucket, and on the 1st of April, I went and collected it. And we started digging on the 4th or 5th of April up there. So I was the first one in the digger. And we had some sketchy moments because there was wet ground and the machine broke down and there was snow and but it was good. And we actually all did our part in the machine, and I would say it was pretty split even. These guys drive the machine just as good as I can.
Yeah, no, it's, now as I was watching the YouTube videos, I could see that all three of you guys were sitting in the digger. I just wonder, how you split the different kind of works. If one day you're in the digger and the other guy's on the shovel, one guy builds the jump, the other one carries the rocks, and all these kind of things that need to happen on a trail building project, right? So how in the day-to-day, how do you actually split those things when you work on projects like that?
I think there are like five different aspects on building such a line. There is like the designer, there is the operator, there is the end shaper, there is also the greening, and the really important thing is also like the testing. And I think as a professional trail builder, you really need to reunite those five different skills And being able to swap and change was the best thing, I guess. You never really get tired of doing like always the same thing. You can always change your task, and you always keep the motivation and the momentum. When everyone can do everything, it's always better, because you can always like sit on the other ones and make sure that the other ones can keep going. Also, for the point of view, I mean, when you're in the digger, you have a special vision around the digger, but when you go up there to make and slap a leap, you can see the line from further and having different angle told to the guy in the machine. Then the guy in the machine goes to hand shape, then he changed the point of view, and you can always see the trail and the line from different angles, and it helps everyone to really understand in the direction we are going to. And it's really also important to talk and express your feelings. You have to sometimes accept and follow different ideas, and I sometimes accept to be wrong also, and to destroy and rebuild, because like everyone can do some mistake, and we are like trying some new things. So sometimes it's gonna work and sometimes it's not gonna work, so you need to adapt.
Also interesting, you mentioned safety. As everyone that watches the video can see, Mr. Greg Jolliffe here has a very special approach to safety. Can you talk a little bit about your approach to testing features as the first one, particularly the one in the video?
Oh, the one in the
We're really
video, I
safe.
think yeah. And when you build it, you've ridden it in your head like 100 times already, and you've already had that dream, and like we were sleeping at night and thinking, I know how to ride that. And Kriss is showing up like, oh, I need to check the speed. He hasn't had the same amount of time at the spot. He helped a lot with crafting and shaping himself, but it's different. Like I said, we've had that dream. So anyway, it was like a 10-hour day. We're just at the end, and Kriss was trying to get a session in, trying to hit the first time on this hip, and he just got it done. And I went up there and was like, I didn't even think I was going to ride. And I was like, oh, his bike looks really nice. I'm going to try just rolled down, and ended up just hitting the line. And that was after a beer and no helmet and working shoes on a new bike. And but yeah, I think that just shows that we have complete trust in the things we do. And I also was, I don't even know, it was just a complete spur of the moment, and it just happened, and that there was many moments of those things on this trail, and that was just one of them.
That's funny. I think one of the top comments on the video elevated you to a style guru for the dungarees.
Yeah.
Sending it first in dungarees. That's the new style.
I wasn't the first. Kriss did it before me, and he ticked it off and showed us it was good, and then I just dropped in, I guess.
Okay.
But that means we need to build it harder next time. We need to build it so big that we have to put on full body armor. And maybe that's what we're going to do.
Exactly. What were some of the biggest frustrations on the build, apart from the weather?
Maybe when we did the quarter, water was soaking through the ground, and we had to dig a whole drainage, a big gravel channel that goes under the quarter to put the water from the spring outside the trail. Maybe. Yeah, and it was looking. We just finished it, and it was looking absolutely perfect. And on the next day, we discovered that there was like a kind of a spring coming out, and we knew that we had to destroy everything again and make like a huge drainage into it, and that was like a heartbreak a bit. But in the end, that's some things you need to do, and you need to adapt, and it's constantly changing, and you need to find some solution and keep moving forward.
But our motivation didn't slow down. When we see that, we're like, we need to fix it, and we're doing it right now, and we're like digging this up, and we're putting in a pipe, and that was just the whole story of this build. We rebuilt the next kicker like 4 times, up, down, back, forwards, left, right, and until we hit it. And then we hit it the first time, we're like, perfect, because we just trusted our feeling, and we could trust each other's feedback. And that's why we're like all working together at this point.
So you all seem very professional in your approaches and the way you talk about it and how you've described how you work. But I can remember when we had Greg on the first time, and I mean, you were definitely becoming a master, but I can notice now, Greg, that you have a little more maturity just in general. It's really cool to see. It's I feel almost honored to kind of know such masters of the dirt, masters of the craft. I mean, of any craft,
We
really.
actually want to be known.
Hey, sorry.
We want to be known as trail goblins.
Trail goblins, right? Hashtag. So,
oh man, there was one day we were in there. Colin's like, "Don't stop, keep shoveling," and it was sideways rain, and we're like soaked wet, and that was for me one of the most amazing moments. Just like slapping this lip all together. It was too wet to drive the machine. We were
The
just
shark
all
fin.
there.
We were
Yeah,
slapping the shark fin in the pouring rain and acting like we were a sailor working on the ship. Keep on going, keep going, and
Bring it back.
right
Yeah.
on.
yeah, you always need to scream because of the sound of the wind, otherwise the guys are not hearing you, so you really need to shout and scream. That's crazy. Yeah,
That's funny.
I really hope there's like artistic painter, like oil painter, listening to the podcast one day, and he's like, "I'm inspired by these three," and he like paints this epic thing of these three guys slapping a shark fin, sideways rain. So where I was going with that was where we started off with you, Greg, on the first time we had you on the pod. There was a sentiment. I can't quote you. I mean, it's a little bit vague in my mind, but basically, you were very driven. You're very motivated. You want to build trails. You wanted to gain experience, and you wanted to do cool things. And I think you had more along the lines of like, I just want to go out there, do my thing, be the best I can be, show the world, and let's see where I go with it. And I think because you've taken that approach and you've experienced a lot of things, you've met a lot of people, gone places, ridden, I think
Made a lot
now
of mistakes as
Colin
well.
and Antoine can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's sort of like allowed people now to like get a sense of you in this kind of gut feeling sense. And that's why there's like this camaraderie and like this unbroken trust that you guys have to just like, hey, we're on a project together. Let's do this. Am I wrong? Like, I get that feeling. That's kind of the vibe going on right now.
Yeah, that's it, and that's why we're sitting here right now, because this is what we want to do. And I've met these two guys who are on the same wavelength as me, and they want to dig, and they'll dig, and we all have ideas, and we're always like, like this, and they're not afraid to make a mistake. Like I'm not afraid, and we learn the best when we're making the mistake, and you have to take those mistakes and move on from them in a good way, like to really learn from them.
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I can recall is we asked you one of the infamous closing questions, and the second one, if you were what's his name again, Pascal?
Harry Schedini.
Harry Schedini,
the magician.
Extraordinaire. Your response is something like, you wish that everyone could just ride like their dream trail, or like something like that.
It was something like that. It was like dream trails for everyone, or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't know.
And I think you are the Harry Schedini. I think you're helping enable not just Kriss, but a lot of people to ride dream trails. Like, that's really cool. And that's extended to you guys as well. It's like you're all working together to like enable people to ride dream trails. I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Enough said.
Mic drop. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, Skigglers. No, but how do you guys feel about that? Like when you get this recognition from somebody, how does it make you feel?
I think that was the most insane thing about the Dreamline project for me, was to just all the people, like to see all different guys, and not even like the pros, or just like some unknown guys who came all around Scotland to open up the line. And those guys just showed up, and they could like express their talents, and they start through the line. And seeing those guys all really happy was the most insane feeling for me, I remember the guy with the e-bike, he had a crash on the moon booter. Then he was really scared to make it again, and he really wanted to do it before coming home, and we were helping him like take the shark fin more here, then compress here. No, not yet, not yet. Now you have the speed. Okay, you think I can do it? Yeah, you can do it now. When we were all screaming and he made it perfectly, that was
Yeah,
really nice as well.
Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome.
But the thing to have Kriss there, like I grew up watching his videos, and I would go to Unit and try to like just look at his lines and be like, wow. And for me, he was this superstar BMX rider, and then to just like meet him and work with him and become his friend, and to hear those amazing words that he had to say, like, and for him to give us that trust is like, I still have butterflies in my stomach from that experience, and I'll never forget it. And I'm going to take all of those experiences for the next one.
Yeah, especially when he say this guy's knows. Just before that, I think I was the only one to believe in myself, trusting what I was building. And when a guy like Kriss tells you what you do is really good, you know what you're doing, it's working, then it's really good. Feels really good to have that. It's a really satisfying feeling to have this guy to just say like, hey guys, keep going, what you are doing is insane, I love what you are building, like this build is gonna be insane, the video is gonna be sick, I can't wait to do this project and to final it. And that was sick, honestly. Yeah.
Hmm. Is that kind of recognition what you set out to do or set out to achieve when you started your business?
No, because we are digging trails for years and years alone in the woods, so we always kept going with no return from no one. So with return or not, we will still be digging, but for sure we really appreciate, and it gives you a lot of motivation. But we first do it for ourselves.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe because we've spoken to Greg before, we haven't heard so much from you about like actually your business because you have your own trail building business yourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would like to hear like how did you get started? I mean, we heard you've ridden all the bikes, you know all the tricks, all the BMXs. You said you've just been building a lot of trails. So how did you get started in the actual business side of things?
At the point you can keep on going with illegal trails and stuff like that. Then we went working for companies, and at a certain point, we find out that the only way to express our vision, do the things the way we want, try new techniques, different way of working, different dirt, like using only digger with the rotating tilt for wet, heavy clay, and no hand shape work, more hand shape work for a sand and stony ground, and be able to try new thing and push the thing a bit further. At the end, that was the only possibility, was to have our own company. But the kind of business side of that was really not the thing we wanted, but we had no choice. If we wanted to build the thing like we want, we have to have our own company, our own name, and no one over us. Yeah, so yeah, you don't need to answer to anyone, You can just build what you want the way you want, and you don't need to justify yourself or to talk with people. And that was the best thing for us was to make our own company.
What have been apart from the Dreamline, of course? What have been some of the cooler projects you've been involved in that maybe people know?
It's just like our first year, and our first year started with a project nearby our house. We built like the Swiss national track for the cross country national championship, and so that was the first really project, and otherwise we are just working on the local bike parks and stuff like this, and we are just like setting things at the moment for the next couple years.
We are just two.
Yeah, we are just the
for
two of
everything.
us.
Making the prices, meet the clients, test, ride,
build
everything.
Yeah. The big trail building companies, they have their big politics and big departments and big everything, right? So I guess when you're just the two of you, then you're a bit more flexible. Yes, it's a lot more work and you need to do a lot of things by yourself, but
yeah, but it's worth it. At the end, we can build what we want, the way we want. So
and there is less intermediate, as we go meet the client, we make the offer and we make the building, like everyone is we are doing all the things. So as we have less intermediate, you can earn so much time because you don't have misunderstanding and stuff like this.
Well, looking into the future, what are the things that you want to work on the most? So, what is the Massart speciality? What are you going to put on your mantelpiece? These are the things that we're going to work on. Is it just going to be jumps? Is it going to be full lines like the Dreamline, bike parks? What is it?
I mean, we really like to build everything. We have pleasure to build some BMX tracks, modify some lines, some rhythm section on a BMX track, build some nice jumps on a bike park. As I said, we are also working on cross country courses, so we are really interesting in all kind of bike, but especially mountain bike for sure.
no, everything like stacking tons of dirt for big flow line, piling rocks for natural lines, slapping lips for dirt jump, small lines for the beginners, and watch them enjoying what they are riding. But sure, there's something special with the big flow lines.
And personally, also, I've been teaching kids at the local club for now 10 years. So I've been giving lessons. I did the Jungen und Sport course. To be a proper, I would say a proper how do you say that, coach for the BMX. And as I did this for 10 years, and we had this project for Kriss, you really know where the beginners come from and where they need to go. So we have this process that is in between, which is kind of set now, and I think we can really build something for everyone. And the goal is to build trail by riders for the riders.
But everything, yeah. Even would be nice to make a gnarly downhill racetrack as well. I would love to. BMX racetrack, flow lines, dirt jump, everything cross country.
Greg, you've obviously been around the block in terms of trail building and trail building companies. What is your best tip for the Massart boys?
If you have any doubt, there's no doubt. If you have feeling of doubt that needs a bit more work, then it needs more work. And I've learned that, and we learned that, and we worked on that, and we worked to that level. Like we had that doubt, this water or this lip, and and then we go there and fix it. And we didn't leave the Dreamline with any stone unturned. So at the end, that was it, finished. So there was no more doubt.
That's a very good tip.
And right from the gut. Love that.
Thanks, Gregor.
Yeah, it's like a motto I follow. If you have any doubt, there's no doubt.
Bryson, do you have anything else?
Yeah. For the brothers, I found it really interesting hearing about. We were talking about. You were talking about your business and how you can do things your way.
I don't know if I can really call that business, especially when we build for free. I think it's not the best word for that. Like for the Dreamline, we put all the budget into the biggest digger we could have and worked for free.
Okay, so this is news. I didn't know that. Okay.
We just made it with passion. It was kind of a bit of marketing for us and invest, because we knew that we would have a return on that project.
Okay, then in a sense, this was a business decision. I think a very
Kind
good
of,
one.
yeah.
You
Yeah, that
invested
was
in
our choice to
yourself.
do that.
Yeah,
And the result is the best pay we could ask for.
yeah.
The opportunity was the payment to be able to go there and build something to the wildest dream that we could have.
Mm-hmm.
For everyone to see.
And have a blast doing it.
Sure.
And have everyone
Yeah.
else enjoy it then.
But hopefully for the next one we will be paid, yeah.
Or we take a second digger.
Or we take a second digger with the money.
Second digger.
Yeah, we just spend more money on the line. That's it.
Yeah,
course.
exactly.
No, but that's for sure. If we could bring this kind of line, or a line with big jumps in Switzerland, that could be really insane. You know, I think Switzerland has plenty of hiking trails, enduro trails, flow trails, everything. But we really need more of this jump line. You know, you only have like this proper jump line, I would say, in Lenzerheide Bike Park, built by the Grizzly. And if we could bring more big transition, big jumps, some like rhythm section and stuff like this, that would be really nice, and we will be really happy, to be honest.
There's a lot of good riders waiting for that.
Yes,
They need it.
Yeah, when you see like riders such as Tonoli going abroad to Canada the whole summer to hit big jumps, you know that there is like plenty of talented rider that could take the most out of the line we build, you know, and express their style and their style and their talent to such a line. So we are looking for something like this, for a project like this, that would be really nice.
And in a safe way, kind of, not just big gaps, but stack a lot of dirt for big case pad, big case pad, wide landing, long landing. If you overshoot it, you still have something to land on, and making all of that a bit safer. Then you can just focus on the air time and what you're doing in the air, and not always relearn how to do this jump when you do a whip or a backflip or something, because it's a bit sketchy. And yeah, just focus on the jump itself, the air time, and all the rest is made to be safe.
Yeah, I think we can take plenty of guys as inspiration. You know, you have like those insane Vink lines. You have Morton also building some really nice stuff. Take inspiration from the fast and loose BMX. You can also take inspiration from the motocross and supercross with riders such as Jet Lawrence, that is totally redefining the way of riding dirt bikes, and it's really inspiring us also to create those lines, those kinds of bouncing moves, you know. And
the way like Jet or Digan are bouncing around, and how the shock is working with the terrain, how they use rollers, holes, all of that to make something with. And when you see as well like BMX trail riding, huge jump, diving into steep landing, using the momentum, taking the compression to create speed, go up again and fly, and all of that to make new thing for mountain biking. Mountain bike is a bit between BMX and motocross, and yeah.
I ended up recovering my memory. So as I was saying, it was really interesting hearing what you guys are talking about. And I just kind of dawned on me that, like, I mean, actually, I'm re-remembering it, let's say. Mountain biking is a growing sport, and it's very young in its age, let's say. And it's just recently where it's become a profession to be like a trail builder in the way that you guys are doing it. Sure, in the 90s, guys were, cutting down trees and clearing the forest paths so they could ride kind of wild, but, doing like this dirt shaping and Dreamlines and these kinds of things, it hasn't really been like a recognized profession for a very long time. And now you guys are in like the middle of the progression of this scene and this profession, let's say, the progression of the profession of a dirt shaper trail gremlin. Was trail gremlin? Was it?
Goblins.
Trail
Goblins.
So yeah, it's just really interesting to think about like what the future is for you guys and like your profession, because it's really in its infancy, and the way you talk about it, how you're inspired and you're taking inspiration from not only BMX and motocross, but like trying to mix it all and saying, how can we sculpt the earth that we can enable people to ride their bikes in like a different way than we've seen before? Like, because,
Yeah.
they're still discovering new ways to ride bicycles over jumps or motocrosses,
We get pleasure out of innovation and having that idea. We're not afraid to like go there and try to build this. Like I explained, that we rebuild stuff, and like we want to innovate, and that's our payment, is innovating and riding this triple roller with in a new way. And yeah, I think that's what you tried to say. And like that, our understanding of bike movement and bike riding gave us that ability to understand how the body works and how the bike's going to react. And when you create that understanding, you can do lots of things with dirt.
And the bike itself as well, the mountain bike now have pretty good shocks, and using these, like when the bike compress or decompress with the speed you have, it takes a distance for the bike to compress, decompress. Then this tells you where to put the roller, where you put the berm, the way you go out of the berm. Then the bike decompress. Then here you put the roller to go in again, and all of that.
And yeah,
But you
that was
can't measure
interesting.
that.
No, but you can feel it and know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like there's no
That-
measurement or
you can't put it in a formula or in a
Yeah.
textbook.
No,
Yeah.
not yet. Maybe in a couple years we will be able, but not yet. It's just feelings. But that's interesting that you were talking, Bryson, about like the professional trail builder and the project, the progression of the sport now. And I think we don't talk enough like about all the trail builders that are not really like considered as the professional trail builders, because they don't live from that, but they are really giving a progression and building trails for the community, such as like the NT guys, the Whitestone Bike Park guys, like Jochen, like Luku, there are plenty, Jonas Stadler also, and all those guys, Etienne Lenz from Buren Bike Park
Etienne
also, and
Lenz.
all those guys are not maybe considered as professional trail builder, but they should be, they are just like making the sport progress, and they are like giving a lot of themselves and a lot of energy to the bike community, and like to create some spots and create a scene, and a whole community around the trail, and they are doing it on their free time and like for themselves and just for the community and not for making money.
And that's our inspiration as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, seeing your admiration and recognition of other trail builders is like, to me, it says like that's the definition of a hardcore scene, right? So when you're doing what you're doing and you recognize, you respect what those other guys are also doing in your scene, this is hardcore. So I think that's really cool. I'm getting a little bit of like shivers down the spine. You know what I mean? This is really cool. It's a cool chat. Like I really like where this is going.
I hope Etienne can come and help us for the next.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, I tried to
all
get
of
him.
them.
All of them, and more,
well.
even more, because we talked about some of those guys, but there are plenty that we didn't even mention, and we want to thank them also and say that we get inspired from them also. Yeah.
Especially when you start to get tired of slapping or digging, then you can think about them, and they will never stop at this moment, so you keep on going.
There's always someone stronger, eh?
Exactly.
Oh,
They're
stop.
probably watching me right now.
Yeah.
They're actually at home, like scrolling your Instagram.
We are scrolling
Or
yours.
alone in the wood.
Yeah, that's funny. All right. Well, is there anything else we wanted to add to this little chat? Greg, is there anything to add from your side?
If anyone wants to sponsor a build, then let me know, because we're just full of ideas.
Who needs a
slap some
trail?
dirt.
Yeah. I mean, watch this space. We're trying to get some other things going, but yeah, I mean, not much else to say. I mean, that was just an insane time. Like, it was a dream for us to go there all together and build this line, and then go to the cinema and see it and ride it all together. And yeah, that was just, I'll never forget it.
Yeah, me neither.
You shall not. It's on YouTube.
Exactly. It's there forever.
Look,
Can always rewatch it.
Daddy and his friends made that.
Grandpa.
Grandpa Goblin.
Exactly. Colin and Antoine, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, thanks for having us, and I hope this podcast can help Switzerland to get big lines and
Big safe lines,
big safe lines.
not sketchy big lines.
Yeah.
BSL, big safe
Progressive.
lines.
Exactly. We're trying to do our little piece to spread the word and have these conversations. I think that's our little role in this game. If our listeners have any questions, they want to reach out to you, they want to sponsor you, they want to find out more about the next build, where can they find you? Maybe start with Massart boys.
Doesn't matter.
Or you can text Jolliffe on Instagram, or we have a website, we have an email address. Just write to us.
All right, sweet. We'll put those in the show notes. Greg, we put yours in there. Do you want to repeat it for people that only can listen?
The building page from me, I don't actually have my own company, but my building page on Insta is just Jolliffe Builds.
Sweet. This is awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. Why don't you let us know what you think? We really like to hear from our listeners. To find out how to get in touch with us, follow the links to our website in the description or find us on Instagram under @skitsandgiggles. Until next time, Skigglers.